Publishing, astonishingly enough, really isn't that difficult. If you want to, you can self-publish your book. So there's absolutely nothing preventing you from making a book. But as you can see about a lot of self-published books, there are books that are actually written better, and then there's some that are kind of Anyway, some of the keys to publishing, though, are: do you understand what the medium is asking for? Now, writing a mass market book, okay, that is a different story, because now you're talking about having to connect with, hundreds of thousands of people, which is very difficult. But in terms of articles and things like that, you can be published if you want to. As a matter of fact, I've written 2 papers with students, and they just came to me, Dr. Cho, I'd like to be published. And I said, okay, let's do a paper together. And Professor Kennedy is actually, I believe he's done quite a few number of papers with other students. So the objective in a publication is, one, to get it published. How am I going to do it? I have to generate content of interest. And the challenge is, what do you look for? And so when we look at a publication, one thing we look at is, what's the frequency? And frequency matters a lot, because we know, how many times can you jump on, jump on board the train? If it's like every hour, then yeah, I have lots of opportunities. If not, what does it correlate to? Is it about timeliness? That would be like newspapers, originality, biases. Anytime you submit something for publishing, it's got to be reviewed. How long is the review period? Actually, most technical papers are already about a year to a year and a half out of date, because the review period takes so long. And the implication is, what about competition? What are the ground rules in order for me to be able to do this? These are the layers of publishing, not counting things like books, but periodicals, journals, conferences. Conferences are easier than periodicals or journals. Here's the tough thing about periodicals today. Like, for example, Inc. magazine, they require you to have a following. They want you to have like 10,000 or 100,000 people already following you. And it's, in effect, what they're doing is they're asking you to bring along your own audience. And I didn't like that. It's kind of like, well, if that's the case, why do I need you? I'll just publish it on my own website and get my hundreds of thousands of people to follow me. Conferences typically are annual or biannual. The pro of it is that the standards aren't as high, but it's actually a really great opportunity to network among other people in the field when you go to conferences. And online is, you could do things that are private. I keep thinking I'm going to do my own Medium page, and I hope I do it this Christmas. But anyway, it's hard to get traffic, though, to find people interested in you. And so one way to figure out what's going on is read the publication, read a lot of articles, see what it is that they're interested in, what drives it forward. And so Inc., you could pretty much figure out the pattern. One thing about Inc. articles, they are not long. And so that tells you, okay, I can't write something all that in depth. And is there a way you could pick a topic that has buzz to it? Wes Anderson is actually one of my favorite filmmakers. I haven't liked his last couple of films, but I consider The Royal Tenenbaums to be one of the greatest comedies I've ever seen. He just has a very dry and cerebral and quirky way of looking at people. And so, naturally, they're talking about Warby Parker, and they pull in Wes Anderson. And so, you get some buzz behind it. Is it feature-driven? And so, if you look at Professor Chavez, what he comes up with, The Cult, The Reef, Pivot, BMC, these are all become topics in and of themselves. And when you get to TEM100, you'll see Dr. Cho's system, which he calls the groove. And if it's instruction-driven, then they have to be shorter kind of articles like this. Just simply 2 pages. And as you can see, the primary points to the payoffs, and then technical points and other things on the side. But instruction has to be clear, and you have to use tons of word economy. Just the most essential words need to be used. And so in instruction, the IEEE, guess what? They have little outlines about the different kinds of stories that they have to direct you. Graphics are a very big part of articles. One thing about writing a book, I'm not concerned about the book. I'm concerned about the graphics and the layout, because it affects how you look at things. One thing that is absolutely brutal, which I've pushed back on, is if you ever look at ASU publications, awful, because everything is that mustard yellow, the maroon, and black. And it's just too heavy to look at. And not only that, the layouts. In another lifetime, Dr. Cho was actually editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper. Actually, I was not an engineering type. I was right on the bubble between the humanities and engineering. And MIT kind of made up my mind for me of which way I should go. And then I found out maybe I should have flipped the other way. But anyway, graphics help. The thing I learned in newspaper is how to direct your eye flow, because that's what newspapers actually do. And so these are examples of who's going to make these graphics for you. Obviously, these are a heck of a lot nicer than PowerPoint. And so having a friend or somebody who can do these kind of things can pay off. And naturally, we have a GIT department. And so when you look at MIT Sloan Management Review, Professor Chavez actually likes this. And the reason why is the most quantitative and data-driven business publication. And so the thing is, their pattern is, okay, what are our 4 big headlines? And what is going to be our cover page? What is it that's going to draw you in? And the thing that really works here is there's a lot of empty space, but there's also soft colors. Draws your eyes in. Longer papers. Now we get into the technical paper. And if you look at these technical papers, they're very much like Dr. Cho's technical papers. They're a little bit looser, meaning they don't have numbers and things like that and subheadings. But basically, these are the same kind of subheadings. How our mind solves problems. Conscious processing, automated processing. Gee, Dr. Cho, did I see that somewhere? Yes, you see it in TEM102, and this is where it comes from. All my readings and everything else. And what this article talked about is problem solving and how a lot of people don't do it well. Actually, outstanding article. And so, I don't go with their templates. And at the end, you have to have references. But you could see the journey that they take you through. And how do they close it off? Look at your own design and see whether or not it actually works. Pick a target, study it. Meaning, if I want to write an article on marketing, read the marketing journals that you're interested in. Be aware of the deadlines. And do I need to add added value, like more links or something like that? The process is, think of a question that people be interested in. I already talked about the paper Jessica Sarceda and I came up with. And that's, why do some universities produce more startups than others? And there were other papers in this field. You have to be aware of what's been done before. And what we found out is that when people wrote those articles, they were just purely about research institutions. But what about everybody else in entrepreneurship? Map your story out, outline it. What is your story? What are your main points so you know where you're going to go? What are the deadlines? And also, again, links and followers. What is the nature of the industry? What kinds of things are they interested in? Are they more, for example, there's a difference between a finance journal and a marketing journal, as you can pretty much imagine. What kind of voice are they looking for? What style do they value? How much data do you need to publish? Meaning you might have to go out and do some research. How much is enough to get by? And if nothing else, talk to the people who've published there. Guess what? They have authors' names. They would love to hear from you. And you know where they're from. You could either figure out the email or they give their emails. And go talk to them. See what it takes. So what publishing comes down to is it's a game like everything else. And in order to figure out how a game works, you have to study it. Once you do study it, then you can beat it.